Hello and welcome back to Bookish and welcome to Tag Tuesday. This week I'm going to be doing the song tag, which was created by Gareth over at Book Songs and Other Magic. Just a great fun tag which isn't actually about books, but sometimes that's exactly what I'm looking for in a tag. So in addition to seeing Gareth's excellent original tag video, I've seen this tag done by my friend Alan over at Big Hard Books and Classics. I saw MJ at Reading This Live has done the tag, and Matt at Matt Wall Poetry, or it used to be the I Hate Matt Wall, but it's Matt Wall Poetry. Anyway, I'll leave a link to, I can't believe I can't remember Matt's channel name. Anyway, I'll leave a link to all their videos down below as well, and then get to the prompts as quickly as I can, because one of these is really gonna take me some time. So question number one, or prompt number one, is name a song that always makes you happy. So there are several songs that always make me happy. But probably right now it's Bonin' in the Boneyard by Fishbone. I've actually mentioned this song in a video, Saturday Hodgepodge video before. It's, you know, massively inappropriate, but it is just a whole lot of fun. If we're thinking about, you know, remind me of fun, like from when I was young, that would probably be Stone in Love by Journey. That song really just kind of speaks to my memories of being young in the 70s and the 80s. Prompt number two, name a song that's a great fit for when you're in a pensive mood. I'm going to name an album. This is not going to be the last time I mention an album. That album would be the Bill Evans Trio live at the Village Vanguard. Bill Evans, great jazz piano player, and live at the Village Vanguard is literally, you know, they recorded a session live, and you can hear the patrons in the background talking and glasses clinking and all kinds of stuff like that. And like a lot of great live jazz albums, there are actually several versions or a couple of versions of some of the songs, and it just creates, it's just a mood, as people would say, I think, today, and it's kind of perfect for when I just, you know, need to have a think or relax. And then question three, this is the one that's where I'm going to break all the rules and kind of follow Matt Wall's lead here on this. Prompt three, name a song that changed your taste in music. So that's just almost impossible to narrow down to one thing. Probably my first experience, positive experience with music, was actually singing at church. I went to, when I was a kid, I was a part of a Church of Christ, and we were just, it was all a cappella singing, you know. We were that church who believed if you had a pitch pipe or an organ or a guitar, you're going to go straight to hell. So it was all a cappella singing, and I remember sitting with my grandmother and singing, and that's kind of when I discovered that I had probably, I would say, a somewhat above average singing voice, which, you know, years of talking and sinus infections have at least partially damaged, so that I don't sing as much as I used to, or at least I still sing in the car, but I wouldn't sing where people could hear me otherwise. But that's probably the first time I thought about music and songs being something pleasant. My parents really weren't big music listeners, but they did really like the Outlaws, you know, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Willie Nelson. And I think I remember the song Angel Too Close to the Ground by Willie Nelson being a song that really struck me about its simplicity and beauty. And then they listened to a lot of country music on the radio. That's the radio station they listened to, usually in the morning when we're eating breakfast. And so, you know, a lot of classic 60s, 70s country music filtered its way into my brain. Probably most memorably, He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones, which I still say is the saddest song that's ever taken place. You know, then, you know, go to school, you meet different people, you hear different stuff, and I was kind of in the 5th, 6th, 7th grade, right during the period when disco was big, and I do remember that the Peaches and Herb song Reunited was just huge when I was in the 6th grade, and that's the first time I think I listened to or really liked a song that wasn't something that came from my family experience. I remember, I don't know if you remember the TV show What's Happening, which was set in Los Angeles among three black friends and a black family led by a mother. But it's the show that had Rerun on it, and I remember the Doobie Brothers were on that show, and then I got kind of into the Doobie Brothers for a while. Bought the Doobie Brothers Greatest Hits album. That was one of my first albums ever. Sometime in the 80s, somebody introduced me to Rush, and I think the song that really got my attention was Free Will by Rush. And then I just became one of those stereotypical Rush fans where like I bought every album, I listened to every version of the songs I could. The concerts I went to most often were Rush concerts, and I really didn't fully break away from that kind of Rush fandom until I graduated from college and started working. And even then, I went to a Rush concert. I think it was the Presto album that I went to. But I just loved their music, and you know, everything about it I love. But if you listen to Rush, there are things that are missing from Rush's music, and part of that is there's so much technical precision, I think, in Rush's music, that you miss a little bit of kind of the soul and the feeling a little bit. At the same time, somehow Rush led me into heavy metal music. Rush is not heavy metal music, it's prog rock, if you want to give it a name. And so I was really big into heavy metal music in the mid 80s. Probably one of the two songs that really got me into heavy metal music in a serious way were Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne and then Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. Really big songs for me, and I was pretty snobby about heavy metal music being the best music. I was that kid for most of my sophomore, junior year, but somewhere in there I started listening to other stuff as well. I remember Rock the Casbah came out, I think, when I was senior high school, that song, and that got me into The Clash and a little bit of other punk music. By the way, from this whole list, you might be able to tell that my musical knowledge and taste is pretty wide, but it's not particularly deep in lots of places. And so, you know, I'm not one of those people who got really into punk music and understood everything about the movement and the music and the different styles and the different bands. I was, you know, pretty much a, you know, hit song punk music fan for a long period of time. Also, the Police. My sister went to a Police concert and brought me back T-shirt, and I got into the Police right around the time of the album Synchronicity. And so, you know, I listened to all those songs, even though my favorite Police song was Message in a Bottle. Prince was a big revelation to me with Let's Go Crazy, and the guitar solo at the end of Let's Go Crazy is great, and kind of became a casual Prince fan for quite a while. After that, my wife, who I met in high school, really loved Prince. I got into the blues a little bit through Robert Cray and the song Smoking Gun. Robert Cray, a blues guitarist who had a brief kind of period of like mainstream popularity, just enough for me to catch on, and that kind of led me into a little bit of the blues. Speaking of the blues, Led Zepplin, which they'll come up again, became a big band for me in college, and the Led Zeppelin, you know, kind of combines elements of the blues and rock and heavy metal and prog rock, and they became, you know, my favorite band in college, probably under the influence of some of my friends. The same time period, I really got into Yes, and probably the first song I remember from the prog rock group Yes is Tempest Fugit, which actually has a time change built into the song, and it's kind of an amazing technical thing. I got older, and my graduated from college, and my musical taste kind of went its own way. Oftentimes, I'd find my way to a band or musician through, you know, watching television or movies, and I'm not sure. I saw a PBS documentary about Miles Davis and the album The Birth of the Cool, and that really was my entree into jazz, which I really got into and like a lot. I saw a concert video of Rage Against the Machine performing in Mexico City, and they performed Bulls on Parade, and that really got me into Rage Against the Machine. And of all things, the last band I'll mention, I'll end this question, is that my kids were right around the perfect age for Guitar Hero and Rock Band, you know, those games, those video games where you play music. And one of the Rock Band games we had was kind of based on Tool and the album Schism, and so I really got into that, and that led me into Tool. So again, that's my really long answer to question number 3, which, if I remember, the question was, name a song that changed your taste in music. So my taste in music is pretty much always changing. Question 4, name a recent song that you just discovered and loved. MJ said something that was really true here. I also listen to Sirius XM radio to avoid the commercials to a certain extent, and so I have more control over what music's played. So I don't listen to a lot of current music, but I was introduced to the band H.E.R. By Rick Beato's channel, of all things, and that led me to H.E.R.'s Tiny Desk concert by NPR, and my favorite song by them is called A Hard Place. Just incredibly beautiful, I think, so soulful, technically executed music. Question 5, name 3 bands or artists that you love. I think I've mentioned all these before: Led Zeppelin, Miles Davis, and Tool. Those would be the 3 that if you ask me right now I would name as my favorites. Question 6, what instrument would you like to be able to play? I've owned a guitar since I was about 18 and I've never learned to play. I pick it up and pick out tunes and melodies and songs from time to time, but I have never had the patience to sit down and actually learn how to play. I would like to gain that patience to be able to do that. Question 7, name a fiction book with music at the center of its narrative. I'm going to go with Utopia Avenue by David Mitchell. David Mitchell, the author of Cloud Atlas, among other things. And this book is all about a band named Utopia Avenue with kind of a bass player who is troubled but is really attracted to women, a young woman who's in the band who apparently is bisexual. The guitar player seems to have this otherworldly guitar playing ability, some of which we might think comes from the fact that he is the connection between Utopia Avenue and that kind of cycle of Mitchell books, Cloud Atlas, The Autumns of Jacob de Zoet, and Bone Clocks, which I've never read, and then a drummer who essentially is not a particularly important character, but that book is just full of allusions and references and fictional portrayals of all kinds of people from the music industry in the late 1960s. And that part could be enjoyable, even though it got a little bit tedious. I didn't particularly care for the book itself, but it is definitely centered on a band. Let's see. So then prompt 8 is tag people. I'm going to go outside the United States. I'm going to tag Mark Nash because I know music is incredibly important to Mark Nash. I want to tag Roz from Scally Daniel about the books because I've had conversations about music. Charlie Brooke, who I just had this feeling has interesting musical taste. I want to tag Wiebke from One Book, One Review, who lives in Germany. So there you go. There is my version of the song tag. Thanks, Gareth, for creating the tag. Thanks to all the people who've already done the tag that inspired me to do the tag. Look forward to your comments in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.